Welcome to another episode of the Nice Doing Business with You podcast. Today, I invited my friend Adam Kunes. He's the founder of Dad Day. He was the previous writer of Please Advise, which is how we came across each other's paths. Dad Day delivers everything you need to crush fatherhood, wisdom, gear, humor, and more straight to your inbox 3 times a week. Adam is a scrappy entrepreneur who's been building things his entire adult life. A semester at sea voyage in college cracked his world wide open, and a service trip to New Orleans soon after inspired him to start a nonprofit that took college students on RV-based volunteer trips. Think road rules, but with a good cause. From there, Adam kept building. His first for-profit venture was a VHS-to-DVD side hustle that grew into 2 brick-and-mortar stores and was acquired in 2015. He later launched Have Fun, Do Good, an adventure travel company that contributed to thousands of volunteer hours and a ton of fun, eventually selling that business as well in 2022. Adam's always in motion and always needing a project, so his latest focus has become Dad Day, a fast-growing content and community brand filling the gap in the modern dad space. What started as a simple newsletter has evolved into a full ecosystem of storytelling, gear, and a nationwide community. He's big on training, travel, and anything that keeps life interesting. When he's not writing Dad Day, Adam's usually chasing his 2 boys around Charleston, lacing up for beer league hockey, where they're back-to-back champs, which is no big deal, or he's out on the water. So Adam, welcome to the show. Really excited to talk to you today. We have a ton of things in common, even though we met relatively recently. I love being on the water. I also played ice hockey most of my life, also a dad, and also hustling to try to grow a business. So welcome to the show.
Yeah,
I'd
thanks for
love
having me.
this. Yeah, let you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and maybe dive into some of these questions we've got lined up for you.
Sure, absolutely.
So the semester at sea, it goes all the way back to college days, which where I think a lot of entrepreneurs kind of catch the bug at that age. What was it about that semester at sea that helped pave that foundation for what led to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. I was a 19-year-old kid. Like many college students, I didn't really have this set path. I just kind of landed on communications is a major. Ended up doing a semester at sea, which was a 100-day cruise around the world. I just had no idea at the time how that would shape my entire career. But yeah, I just went on there like a scared college kid. I mean, there were 700 kids from across the country. And yeah, we were traveling around the world, and it was just such an eye-opening experience. Got to see things I've never saw before, got to see poverty at a level that I had never seen, and just got to really just learn about myself and the world we live in. So it was just this eye-opening experience that I didn't realize that it was going to have the impact it would until, 3 or 4 years later. But that really set the tone and put things in motion for me in a very impactful way.
What year was it when you did your semester at sea, out of curiosity?
You're gonna date me here. I think it was fall 2005. I did semester at sea, so I was 19 years old.
Okay. Yeah, from I think it was like 2000 to 2004, I was on my world tour with the US Air Force, and it's amazing how when you see some of those countries where I've been to many of them myself, how people are living, and it just shows us how much we take for granted as Americans, and how much room there is to just grow and be successful here.
Yeah.
It really puts things into perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you started the side hustle, were you still in college at that time?
Yeah, I would have been a senior at that point, and my uncle had an old VHS tape, and he said, "Hey, I had a MacBook Pro," and he was like, "Hey, can you put this onto a DVD?" I wasn't doing that. I was like, "Sure." I went on YouTube at the time and saw how to do it. It was pretty simple. And then he said, "Hey, what do you want for it?" And I just said, "Give me $50." It was kind of like this light bulb moment for me where it's like, oh, I could do this. So my dad, he's an entrepreneur, and he's like, why don't you get a 1-800 number? So I got a 1-800 number, and he was always just like, act like you're bigger than you are with that. So it was like people were
Yeah.
wanting to drop off their old memories, in my dorm, and I was saying, I'd turn it around and say, hey, we offer a free pickup service, and so I'm traveling all around Pittsburgh picking up people's old priceless memories, and it was kind of a cool little way to get into to the world of entrepreneurship.
That's funny. I was driving around Pittsburgh picking up other people's junk around 2005 as an eBay trading assistant. I would go get
Nice.
their stuff and list it on eBay and taught myself how to make, HTML auction listings. So
Nice.
cool. That hustle starts at a young age. So you built that up into 2 brick and mortars at one point, is that right?
Yeah, it wasn't a straight path to get there. After college, I did get a real job. I only lasted 11 months. I was a job developer downtown, helping folks on welfare find employment. And I quickly learned it wasn't going to be for me. About 6 months prior to that, I did a service trip to New Orleans, and met what would become one of my best friends. We moved in together down in Shady Side, and both kind of in that like corporate grind mode and just like not liking our jobs. And I remember coming back one day and saying, "Hey man, what do you think about taking an RV across the country and doing some volunteer work?" And we made this handshake pact right then and there. And I spent the next 6 or 7 months or so from the desk of my then corporate job, trying to just like figuring out, ideating on how are we going to do this? How are we going to raise some money for it? That led to the formation of a nonprofit called the Call to Serve.
That's pretty cool. And what years were you running around Shady Side and doing the RV gig? Because I have a feeling I may have bumped into you once or twice, and we don't even know it. Because I was going back to Pitt around '05 to '08, and
Okay.
all my buddies had an apartment in Shady Side, so we were crawling around there all the time.
Yeah, we lived on Highland Avenue. That probably would have been from, I don't know, '07 to 10 maybe.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
there just a few years before you, but
Okay.
yeah, it was a great little town. Good
Yeah.
vibes in Shady Side for sure. So the RV adventure, the RV business or idea that turned into basically an adventure travel company, right? So how'd you grow that, and
Yeah.
tell me about some of those trips?
So again, like not back to that not straight path. You know, we took this first trip and it was just two guys. We invited another friend. I think he joined us in Texas, but the trip was from Pittsburgh to New York City and then across the country. So we raised some money just from friends and family. We bought this RV. It was $6,500. We painted it black and put our decals on there. Tried to get a couple sponsors, and this is before YouTube was really popular, and we filmed it. So we're just like, hey, we're going to piece together this, and I use it very loosely, documentary, but we pieced together it was way too long. It was like 45 minutes long. And I just started showing it at colleges, universities, churches, anywhere that would let us show this way too long film. And then at universities, students would come up to us afterward and say, "Hey, how do we sign up for this thing?" And for us, it wasn't a thing. It was a 30-day trip around the country. And then, we were going to go back to our normal lives, I guess. And, again, back to that light bulb moment. We're just like, yeah, maybe we're sitting on something here.
You
Uh,
found a niche.
yeah, so we got our 501(c)(3) status. We ran that for 4 years. Got some pretty big partners on board. We did a college campus tour with American Eagle, which at the time was awesome. I'm traveling around the country with my best friend at the time, and I getting to speak at universities and talk about volunteering and giving back. So did that for about 4 years, and then just realized like I need to put some money in my pocket. As cool as it was, we didn't know what the hell we were doing, so I came back to the digitization company and just thought, hey, I'm living in the East End. No one is really outside of the big box retailers. No one was providing a place for you to drop off these priceless memories. So I thought I could capitalize on the local market. Took a gamble, opened up a brick and mortar store in Squirrel Hill, and ran that for 8 years or so before selling it.
And then what kind of company was interested in acquiring a business like that? I mean, you
Yeah,
don't have
there.
to say if you're not able to, I understand, but I'm just curious, like, where did that go? Because obviously the genesis from like VHS to DVD to everything's digital. I'm wondering
Yeah, I
what
mean,
opportunity they saw and how it shook out for them.
it was an interesting time. I think it got out at the right time. There were quite a few interested parties, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. We were pushing for folks to have an MP4 version of these memories, and then it shifted to be like we just want the DVD, and now DVDs are extinct.
Like, they're like obsolete now,
Yeah,
yeah.
so they're probably bringing their DVDs back in now saying, "Hey, we want this digital file. Like, how are we watching these things?" So it was just an interesting time, but I sold it in 15, and it just got to a point where I just like I wasn't into I liked the marketing, branding side of the business, but you're in the weeds. I mean, there was nothing to do to expedite that process. So if someone brought in a 2-hour VHS tape, it's taking 2 hours of runtime. Then you have to export it. And I just like the technical side of it. I was just like, I got to a point where I had like 40 computers and things would break. And I'm just like, man, this is stressful. And yeah, I was kind of over it.
It's they're not completely extinct. I got to say, just in the last 10 days, this is very interesting. I can't say the name of the company, but a very large and prominent Pittsburgh organization is engaging with us to do a training video production. And for whatever reason, they need it on DVD, and that was one of the requirements. They need they need two copies of the DVD. And what we found is scrounging up a DVD burner at this point, not that hard, but reconfiguring and fidgeting around with the label printer,
Yeah.
that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So we're noodling through that now. They might be the last two DVDs that ever get burned in the world. We'll see.
Nice.
From VHS and DVD side hustle to the travel company, all very cool. You have a little bit of experience in the agency world, which is where I still eat, sleep, and breathe every day. And I've noticed as a subscriber of the Please Advise newsletter that we recently took over from you, you know, you've got some serious copywriting skills. So where'd you pick up that skill along the way?
Yeah. So in 15, after I sold the company, my wife and I moved out to San Francisco, and I kind of really didn't know what to do next. It was kind of like, even when I was running the digitization business, I was doing stuff that I like to do. So building websites for people and just doing more design work. And I always liked to write, but I didn't think like, oh, I'm actually kind of okay at this. So when we moved to San Francisco, I got introduced to, and I didn't even know what it was at the time. It was called The Hustle. It was a newsletter that focused on business, tech, and culture. They were kind of like one of the first popular ones. Morning Brew, The Skim, they were all
Yeah.
kind of coming up at the same
I've been a
time.
subscriber to the Hustle and Morning Brew for, I bet, at least eight, maybe closer to 10 years.
Nice. Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
it was pretty cool. So I had a friend from Pittsburgh introduce me to one of the co-founders, John Havel. I contacted them. They invited me to their office, which was really cool because their first office was where Craigslist started. And
Wow.
I went and I played a game of poker with them, and like I remember just like drinking Bud Heavy and just hanging out. And it was, the next day they called me and they're like, "Hey, we think there might be a good fit here, and would you want to join us like on the event content side of things?" Yeah, jumped on the opportunity, and it was so invaluable. Again, back to like not realizing kind of what you're doing in the moment, and how it's going to impact your path. The Hustle was definitely one of those experiences where it shaped the next, what would be 8 years of my professional career. So yeah, back to your original question, I spent a lot of time with the other founder, Sam Parr, obviously a very, very good copywriter, scrappy dude. And I remember spending late nights in the office with him, just like, "Hey man, how are you doing this? How are you thinking about it?"
Yeah,
And
very
I
cool.
realized too, like I sucked at copywriting. Like I was an okay writer, but I wasn't good at copywriting. So I just wanted to be a sponge there. And I spent time with him and just saying, "Hey, teach me this. Show me what books you're reading, how you're doing it." And just slowly but surely got better and better, and felt more confident and kind of putting
Yep.
myself out there as a
Well,
copywriter.
you're in at the ground floor of something that's still a very cool and prominent newsletter today, which was actually acquired by HubSpot. We're a HubSpot partner. And, you know, if I could take a wild guess, I remember in the early days of the Hustle, and I think even still through to this day, they're kind of positioned as like a somewhat snarky business newsletter by millennials for millennials was kind of the vibe. And I think they haven't really lost that. And I would imagine the culture there would be like almost like a Barstool sports culture before Barstool, you know? Like
Yeah, it was
Barstool has a similar vibe.
yeah.
Like it's snarky sports commentary, right?
Yeah,
It's
no, it was like definitely this irreverent vibe. And I remember the first landing page
irreverent.
was
That's a great word.
the landing page was, I think it was like the Beastie Boys, and I'm like, "Oh, this is sweet. Like this is my vibe." Yeah, it was cool. It was like a very very diverse group of people in there, and I remember like there was a pull-up bar in the office, like just cool stuff where I was like, "Oh, this is sweet." Like there was nothing like, I mean, me not coming from a corporate environment at all, like this was just a scrappy, like I felt like I could hop in and just kind of be my own person, which was really cool.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun at heart there. And then, you know, at what point did you get into, I think at one point you were more in like the agency scene too, aren't you? And right around when before you started the Please Advise newsletter?
Yeah, so kind of back to consulting and just not really knowing what was, when people ask me what I do, I'm like, I always say, "Hey, I just, I'm in marketing," or whatever it may be. But I had a number of clients, whether it was on the side or just that's what I was doing. And I was back in Pittsburgh at the time, and there was another agency, Top Hat. that
Hmm.
put out a
I'm a big fan of their work. They do good stuff.
yeah, they
They're about
needed.
15 minutes from where I'm sitting, I
Oh,
think.
nice, cool. Yeah, someone
I
had
haven't met
shared.
them though. Full disclosure, never met
Okay.
them.
Yeah, I'll have to introduce you to Ben. He's a good dude. So they posted something on their Instagram. They were looking for a copywriter, and I had a friend pass it along to me. And I wasn't looking for a job, but I hit them up and said, "Hey, I'm not looking for anything full time, but happy to hear what you got going on." And so we started working together, and the idea for Please Advise came about. They were looking for a kind of a backdoor channel to get new clients and lead generation. This is before everyone and their mom had a newsletter, but conceptualized the idea for Please Advise, just a short, sweet, digestible email that you could read when in one swipe and give value to people, and that really took off for them. So it was 4 years of writing Please Advise, and then I acquired it, which was cool, and then that's how you and I obviously came to
Yeah.
form a relationship.
So backing up maybe what 6 or 8 months, if ish. That's kind of how we met. I've been a subscriber to Please Advise for a while, and I think one of the things I liked about it is it almost had the hustle vibes, but it was really focused on like growth marketing, life hacks and tips and software for digital marketers and people that are kind of in our space now. So I was sort of fascinated with it, and I jumped on the list. And again, that's kind of how I heard about you and the opportunity that you were looking to pass the torch on that. So we took over Please Advise maybe 90 days ago. That sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Somewhere around there. And one thing I love about it is like this space we live in, it's just constantly changing. So writing a newsletter about new tools and new ways of doing things forces us to go out there and just always be curious, which we naturally are. But now we have another reason to do it. We have to continue to create content and kind of feed this beast that you started.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's overwhelming how much stuff is out there right now. So I do really like the format and believe in the format of Please Advise, where it's quick. I mean, you can give value to people uh, in a very digestible way. It was really fun writing that and growing that.
Yeah, and this is, I think, the next big segue that I'm really excited to talk to you about because I've become a fan of your work. You started Dad Day, and that's part of why you wanted to, I think, step away from Please Advise. And so far, from what I've heard from you, that's going really well. I'm also a subscriber to the Dad Day newsletter and part of that community. I've got 3 little girls at home. Just read your issue. I think you sent out maybe a day or two ago. It was great.
Nice.
Tell us about Dad Day. Let's hear it from you.
Yeah, so Dad Day was kind of an idea that I've had for, I don't know. My oldest son is 7 now. When we had him, I was like, man, there's really just not a whole lot out there for dads. So I started writing this then newsletter. It was called Rad Dad, and I just didn't feel like I had a whole lot to talk about. Like I didn't have any experience. We had this baby at home. I didn't know what I was doing. Just like you're keeping this human
Yeah.
alive, and there
They
was
don't teach
no.
you how to wipe butts in school.
Right. There was no real connection for me. I mean, I was like, yeah, this is my son. Like, I love him. But, it wasn't until he started getting older where I felt like, cool, I got some stuff that I could actually talk about now. So I had a buddy encourage me. He's like, whatever happened to that Rad Dad thing? And it's like, yeah, I mean, you should start writing that again. And by the time I went to start writing again, someone had trademarked Rad Dad. So I just changed the name up to Dad Day just to keep it 6 letters. It's been a year and 2 months of writing, and, it morphed. It's morphed from this, what I thought was just going to be a newsletter, to really this content and community brand, just trying to fill that gap between just cheesy dad content. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go out and read a book on parenting, but if I see a little nugget or something on Instagram where I'm like, man, that really resonated with me, I want to be able to
Mhm.
share that with other people. So I do feel like there's a gap in that space. There was a company called Fatherly that started back in, I think it was 18 or 19. They've since been acquired, but it was kind of phony to me. The founder wasn't even a dad, and that just wasn't my angle. Like, I want to hear from someone that's in it, that's in the trenches. And
Yeah.
so it's more or less about like just kind of showing up is a good human, and I think that trickles down into to dad life, and slowly but surely building the ship as I sail it.
What's the cadence on Dad Day now? Is it once a week,
That's three
once a
times a
day,
week. Yeah, every Monday,
3 times a
Wednesday,
week?
and Friday. So doing quite a bit of writing. I mean, I'm kind of doing it all, which is fun. I'm kind of accustomed to that, but it's been cool to see the community side of it grow. We just launched a new website. So yeah, some really exciting things in the works for Dad Day, which I'm pumped
That's
about.
cool. And you're basically finding inspiration in your everyday life, which is has got to be kind of unique and interesting too, right?
Yeah, I'm learning as I go. I mean, you brought up, writing please advise, like it's keeping your team, you sharp on these new tools. And for me, I'll see stuff pop up I'm on social media all day because I have to be for work, and I'll see something pop up, or my kids will be I work out of a garage office, and my kids will be yelling, "Hey daddy, come out." And it's like, those moments are like what I'm ultimately writing about and sharing. And it's just it's become this almost like personal journal, where it's like I'm sharing what I'm going through, and then hearing what other dads are going through is pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's not like a good roadmap, especially for new dads, like you said. My kids now are 13, 11, and almost 8. And this is a really fun age, like you said. Like they're still young enough that they'll hold your hand and they call you daddy and not afraid to be seen with you in public. My 13-year-old's almost to that edge, where you know, pretend like you don't know me. My friends are over there.
Yeah.
But the youngest one especially, just a little ball of fire, and seeing what you're putting out is just such positive vibes and energy. I love it. I noticed you used a Simon C. Holland tweet the other day in your newsletter. That guy's hilarious. I followed
Yeah,
him
for
for
sure. Yeah.
years on Twitter, now X.
Yeah,
He's like the king of like dad thoughts. You got to flex on that neighbor dad now and then.
for sure.
It's good stuff. In terms of like, a lot of the, audience here, and we would probably very likely will share this with the Please Advise community as well. They're marketers at heart and always looking for little ways to shave a few minutes off of a task in their day. Can you tell us a little bit about your kind of workflows for, how you're able to pump out such high quality content 3 times a week? You've done it now at least 3 different newsletter organizations between your time at the Hustle, Please Advise, and Dad Day. Any pro tips or insider baseball you're willing to share in terms of how you become a one-man content factory at a really high level?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously using AI. I've used them all. I've used Claude and Perplexity, ChatGPT, and I have these conversations with a lot of industry folks as well. I mean, I still think you need to be good at what you do. So if you weren't a
Yes.
good copywriter before ChatGPT came along, it's gonna show. So I think just honing in on your craft, like whatever it is that you like to do, use AI to lean into that. I think it would be the main takeaway for me. If you're a crummy writer, I don't know that ChatGPT is going to help you out. I'm seeing a lot of people crank out content and it's just so bad. I could tell that ChatGPT wrote it, and it's just like, stop, just
Yes.
stop.
Yeah. M dash is everywhere.
Yeah, stop doing that. And it's like, it sucks for the people that used M dashes before, because now people are calling their shit out and saying, hey, you're using ChatGPT. And it's like, hold up. Like, I've been using M dashes before it was cool. But yeah, I think just being true to yourself, to your brand, whatever it may be, I think you're going to see a lot more focus on just authenticity. It's getting just so messy and noisy, and the pace at what we're moving at is just like the quality of work is going downhill. It's like just robots talking to robots. So I think you're going to start to see this, at least in my mind, this kind of throwback to more nostalgia. Okay, how do we build this real community and have these real conversations and put out authentic content and communities? I guess my takeaway would be do the things that you're good at, use AI to help you do that, but don't rely on it fully. We're otherwise just going to get dumber. you know?
Yeah. Couple thoughts in response to that. The first is you keep using the word community. I love that. I feel like that's undervalued in business, and no matter what niche or product or service you work with, like building and cultivating a community or like your kind of own little tribe, that's really powerful from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, and I feel like even the word community has been overplayed at this point. I mean, I've been building communities for a long, long time, and I think it just comes back to being true to who you are as a person. People like people. That's never going to change in marketing. So whether you're in B2B, B2C, whatever it may be, people still want to be talked to like humans. So I think if you're just true to yourself and you have a decent product or service, it's going to shine through. And I know there are a lot of doom and gloom folks right now with AI. I think it's a cool time. My only pushback on AI is back to the speed of things. we're just carrying, I feel like, with my own career, it's just so much stress around like, I need to do this all so fast because AI is allowing me to do it. And it's like, pump the brakes, trust the process. We're almost losing the process to a degree. And I don't like
Yeah.
that. Hopefully if we just get to a level where it's like, okay, cool. This is where we're at, otherwise it's just a stressful time.
Yeah, for sure. One other thing you said too is if you're a crummy writer, AI can only help you so much. And I do think it could maybe help a crummy writer be mediocre or maybe
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
pass
Oh, for
muster.
sure.
But one thing you're really good at, I'm gonna pump you up here for a second, is I think you're a creative genius, at least from
Thank
what
you.
I've
That's
followed.
very high
And
praise.
it is high praise, and you deserve it. And I think that the creativity part, that's the part that AI can help you with even less, in my opinion. You can come there with a raw idea that might help you kind of grow it up. Have you found any life hacks for finding ways to identify inspiration for your content and your daily life? Do you catch yourself just kind of roll with it? And if it comes to you, it comes to you, or are you out there looking for that inspiration? How have you sort of melded just being a real dad with, being the quarterback of Dad Day?
I think a lot of it's just kind of being true to myself and who I am. I don't think dad day is going to be for everyone. I'm into health and fitness, and I am a firm believer. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're going to have a really hard time taking care of your family. I'm not pushing that message out to the masses. If you buy into that, cool. But I think a lot of my ideas are kind of centered around things that I like. And I think one thing I've done well throughout my career is if I do have an idea, and this is pre ChatGPT, I'm going to execute on it for better or for worse. You know, I think that's what sets apart people from obviously doing and not doing. But I'm just the kind of person that's like, oh, cool, that's a good idea. Let's see where that goes. And sometimes I go down a rabbit hole. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I do not need to be spending my whole day on this. Like, it doesn't move the needle at all. But as a creative person, I got to see this through. Um,
Right.
so yeah, there's a lot of
That's
noise,
fair.
right? There's a lot of noise right now.
One of my team members and I were having a conversation in this office yesterday about ideas, and this is not something I coined, obviously, but ideas are cheap. Execution is everything. I have a million ideas a day. I think a lot of entrepreneurs do, but it's not just actually executing, it's also how you execute. Do you put the time into it? Did that idea just kind of come and go, or did you triple down on it? And in your case, you've done that a few times over where you take an idea and you really go hard in the paint.
But yeah, that's for better or for worse, I do. But
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
right. So you talked a little bit about how you're using AI. Do you have any resources that you want to share with anyone who might check this out with what you're working on now with Dad Day?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you want to check out our site, it's dadday.co. And then on Instagram, we're it's dad day. And then folks can reach out to me directly. I respond to every email. I don't like when people don't respond. Like, that's another, like, kind of
Be careful what
caveat.
you wish for, because you have, I don't know if you're comfortable saying, but you have a pretty big newsletter already at this point.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent size. I don't know, man. When I reach out to people and they don't get back to me, not that I'm holding on to it or anything, but I want to be just authentic. And, if someone reaches out to me and says, hey, that was a great newsletter today, whatever it may be, I'm not saying I hit every email back, but yeah, just responding to people. I genuinely
Yeah,
enjoy connecting with folks in the community. If
that's
folks
awesome.
have questions about Dad Day or copywriting, marketing, whatever, I'm always down to hop on a chat.
I think that's why I'm such a big fan. Authenticity is literally like one of my main core values. I tell people that all the time. I really value authenticity. So that's very cool. One other thought, too, if you want to see other work that Adam has worked on, the Please Advise newsletter that we have taken over here at Vendilli Digital Group is available. You can subscribe online and you can see all of his archives at pleaseadvise.io. We've got a great following there. And we thank you for all the groundwork you laid as like we said, kind of pass that torch over to us. It's been a lot of fun working on Please Advise and, looking for that inspiration in our daily agency life to create content for growth marketers. And give me that domain one more time for Dad Day.
Sure, it's dadday.co.
Okay, Adam, thank you for joining the show. You can learn more about Dad Day at dadday.co. He's also got some cool dad hats and other cool merch available there on the site for dads. If you want to see a summary of everything we talked about, it'll be in our show notes when this gets posted to YouTube. If you like the show, please mention it to a friend, comment, subscribe, review, whatever you need to do to get the word out there. It's been nice doing business with you, Adam.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you.